everyone, welcome back to this channel and welcome back to Spooktoberfest. Today we're talking about two cult horror movies centered around girls just trying to have a good time and they all get fucking murdered. All but one. Well, not quite, but let's get into it. So our films today are The House on Sorority Row and The Slumber Party Massacre. Two films that are like cult classics. I think everyone who's like a horror fan has either heard of them or watched them. So let's talk about them. I think overall they're really fun. They're kind of a laugh, and I enjoy watching them. So let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so I need my trusty thing here because there's information that I need to impart and I don't memorize things. So The House on Sorority Row, 1982, directed by Mark Rossman, who went on to have a fulfilling career making Disney movies and Hilary Duff movies. So you could have the movie The Perfect Man saying, from the director of The House on Sorority Row, which I think that film could benefit from having a few slashings. But anyway, so that film is smack dab in the middle of the early 80s slasher craze, and it's kind of like a reverse Jason. It's kind of a reverse Friday the 13th movie where instead of the mom killing the teens on behalf of her son, it's the son killing the teens on behalf of his mom. Sort of. Kind of like that. Anyway, the story goes, the six seniors at university, they live in a sorority house. They are throwing one final graduation bash in the house. But before, in the prologue of the film, we learn that Mrs. Slater supposedly lost her son, her child, at birth. But not everything is as it seems. And then the girls are having a party. Mrs. Slater is not having it. She's not happy because there's secrets. Because something very mysterious happens on June the 19th, which is the day that they're having the party. So all the girls have to leave the house immediately after the end of the year, and no one can stay a day longer. And the girl's like, we're not having this. We pay for this. We pay for this house, bitch. We're staying here for 3 extra days. Fuck off. And then they antagonize Mrs. Slater. Mrs. Slater tries to kill one of them for having sex. She pierces the waterbed with her cane, which is hilarious. A hilarious visual to have like a girl and a guy's like, whoa, what's happening? It's great. It's like that perfect like early 80s horror movie acting where no one can act, but they're just doing it, and it's great. It's great. There's so many boobs. There's so many tiny boobs in this movie. It's amazing. Anyway, so that happens, and then the next day, after the waterbed incident, Vicky's like, we have to play a prank on her because she fucking ruined my sexy times with my weird older boyfriend who has a gun and a mustache. And the girl's like, yeah, let's prank her. And one of them, our friend Katie, through whose eyes we see the movie, is like, I don't know about that, guys. We're grown-ups. And they're like, nah, one last night of freedom. So they all play a prank where they pretend to shoot Mrs. Slater with a gun, but then the gun actually goes off and it actually kills Mrs. Slater, and they try to hide her body by burying her in the pool, which is like, the pool is like a thing in the movie, you know, there's like a whole thing around the pool. And then they're like really morose and kind of like depressed during the party because they did that like 2 hours before the party. People like starting to arrive and they're like throwing this old woman wrapped in towels inside of a pool. And then the killings start to happen and like, oh, did Mrs. Slater come back to life? Ooh, is this house haunted? It turns out that Mrs. Slater had a son all those years ago in the prologue, and he was like all kinds of fucked up because she used like a special sciencey thing to give birth to him. And then the doctor is like, we need to save him, very like Donald Pleasance in Halloween, like, we need to grab Michael Myers. It's like, we need to get Patrick, what's his name? I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, and then the guy starts to pick him off one by one. All we have is Katie left, and it's like, we think he's dead, but then maybe he's not. Maybe setting up a sequel, or like just a thing where he's not actually dead. Anyway, it's very like Friday the 13th, Halloween, that kind of universe of movies. But it's not as good. Not that I think Friday the 13th is a good movie. As I said before, I've only seen the first one. I've not seen any of the sequels, but I don't really like the first Friday the 13th movie. I've heard that the series doesn't get good until the fourth, which is like, why would I waste my time on this? Anyway, why would I waste my time on like a whole series? Just, trudge through 3 films. But anyway, I'll get to it. I'll get to Friday the 13th. I'll get to it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't come at me. Don't at me. I will do it. I just don't want to do it now. Also, I can't find it to buy. Anyway, House of Sorority Row. So, this film is very much like, it's kind of like, it's barely a movie. Like, I think the plot is so thin, and it's so like, it's barely a movie because it's just like a bunch of girls just getting killed, and that's like a slasher. It's like a very average slasher, where it just has like kind of mildly interesting kills, a lot of boobs, and then the guy gets shot to death, but maybe not. Like, that's kind of the vibe of the movie. It's fine. I thought it was enjoyable enough. I wasn't like crazy about it, but I had fun. I think it's like a fun like movie you watch with a few friends. You're like drinking a couple of drinks, you're eating some popcorn. No, you're just like, yes, this is a fun time watching these girls get picked off by this maniac. It's great. It's fun. It's a fun movie. And my problem with it, and actually I'm not making a video on Happy Death Day, but I'm talking about it just now because I watched it the other day. My problem with this movie and with Happy Death Day is that it's like, I want kills. Show me damn kills, It's like, just show me the kills properly, And I get that in the 80s, maybe it was a constraint of ability, of like, we don't quite have the resources to make this happen. Happy Death Day was a fucking, Blumhouse movie. They had the money to at least show me some blood. No blood was shown. Fucking fuck. What the hell? What the hell, people who made Happy Death Day? Anyway, I'm gonna get off my Happy Death Day soapbox because I love that movie, but it really was, it could have been better if it had been some actual kills on screen, not off screen. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about girls trying to have fun and getting murdered, which I guess is also the point of Happy Death Day. Anyway, I think, yeah, it's like one of those things where I wish there'd been more gory kills. There isn't that much of it in it, so it's like, so it's not really super exciting. It's fine. It's perfectly average. It's like a decent slasher movie. And I read on the IMDb trivia that a lot of like people fucking love that movie. Like Tarantino loves that movie, and all these filmmakers love that movie, and I'm like, but why? I guess it's interesting enough. I enjoyed it. The acting wasn't great, but it's like, acting in 80s horror movies is like, we don't have a Neve Campbell, we don't have a Jamie Lee Curtis, we don't have like a good actor. We just have these like random ladies who are just trying to get jobs in the film industry, and then they're terrible, but not all of them are terrible. One of them is Helen from When Harry Met Sally. I was like, who is she? Why do I recognize her? And then I went on IMDb and I was like, holy shit! It's Helen! It was very exciting. I love that movie, so it was like starstruck. Anyway, so yeah, it's like average movie. It's like from it being made by a 25-year-old, because that's the age that Mark Rosman was at the time. I think it's quite impressive. You can tell. I think especially with how they represent because he wrote it as well. So he wrote the film. was 25 years old, and the fact that all the girls are really layered and they have really different personalities and they're all like, and none of them like are specifically ditzy, or well, one of them is, but it's like she is the ditzy one, but everyone, all of them seem like either they have really different personalities and they have different like wants and they have different motivations. And I think from a guy who was 25 years old in 1981, presumably when this film got made, like, it's really impressive that he wrote that, because I don't know, I feel like you could have just been like, all the girls are the same and here's some boobs, you know? But it's kind of tasteful, you know. I think the nudity is a little bit, it's not as blatant as our next film, and it's got some like class to it, and I appreciate that. Also, I'm over 25 and I couldn't make it, so good job, Mark. You did that. You did that, son. And then he went on to make A Cinderella Story and The Perfect Man. Now, you show me a better filmography. He's a king. Here's your crown. There you go. Yeah, so that's The House of Sorority Row. I enjoyed it. It's 90 minutes. What more could you want? A 90-minute film that has some okay kills and, you know, some reasonably decent story. Yay! Moving on to The Slumber Party Massacre from 1982 also. So we have a 1982 extravaganza, which is interesting to see that those films were made in 1982. Well, those films came out in 1982 because The Thing also came out in 1982, and that's a fantastic film that looks amazing. So, let's sit on that for a minute. Anyway, The Slumber Party Massacre was directed by Amy Holden Jones, and it was written by Rita Mae Brown, and from what I've read, it was written to be a parody, but when Roger Corman went on to make the film, to produce the film, they made it like straight. They didn't really bother making it like campy or anything that would indicate that it's a parody, so it's a film with a parody script that was filmed straight. And boy oh boy, it really shows. Not in a bad way. I have to say, I like this better than The House of Sorority Row, but I think it doesn't have any metascore or anything. But I can only assume that's true. Because I think this one has sequels. The other one doesn't have sequels. So that speaks to the effect the film has on people. But although this also has a lot more nudity. And Amy Holden Jones, Amy Jones, as she was when she directed this movie. Amy Jones, she was a Roger Corman director. She worked with him, and she just made this movie. And apparently, people were criticizing her at the time for being like a traitor to gender by making a movie full of like titties and stuff. You know, like panning on like girls and like, you know, really like focusing on their butts. But she was like, I'm just making a movie. No one criticizes like fucking dudes for doing that. And most of the directors that do that are men. Can't I do it too? I'm just trying to make a movie. Which is like, I've always said that true equality in the film industry will only come when women are allowed to make mediocre, weird movies. You know, like when women are allowed to make a horror movie or an action movie that doesn't do amazing, and it's not great, but it's fine, you know? Because that's where it lies. Because so many men just make fucking mediocre shit, you know? And I'm not trying to get on a feminist soapbox, but I will. As I am one too. I will stand on my soapbox and scream into the wind. Men are allowed to be mediocre, and it's so frustrating that, you know, as soon as a woman makes a tiny mistake, as soon as a film directed by a woman doesn't make a gazillion $million or isn't like the most critically acclaimed shit ever, people are like, well, maybe women shouldn't be directors. Like, oh, fuck off. Fuck off. Men are allowed to be mediocre. Men are allowed to be so mediocre. So, men are allowed to fail so hard. You know, fucking Zack Snyder keeps making these horrible movies that are just bad and people hate them, and he keeps getting to make them. What the fuck? And I mean, there's a whole audience issue with the guys on the Reddit, and I'm not gonna go into that because that's a whole other thing, and I don't have time or I don't have the need to get my blood pressure that high. But what I meant to say is I'm with Amy Jones. I think, I think women directors should be allowed to just make these movies as like got paid, made movie, there you go, you know? And it's the same thing with directors of color and people who are, people who are disabled or people who are whatever. I think white men have this liberty to be mediocre and make these sort of like whatever movies. And this just feels like a job. Like she got hired to do it and then she did it. Which I think is commendable because it looks pretty decent. I think like the actors aren't amazing. Not to mention the main girl. She looks like she's 35 years old and she's meant to be 18. So never mind. But it's fine. It's decent enough. It's funny. It's charming in that kind of weird low budget, Roger Corman kind of way. And it's fine. It's a fine movie. And I don't care that it, because I think to me, like I think maybe it's because I have my like my gender theory goggles on, but it feels like there's some kind of cheekiness to the way that they filmed the nudity. It was very much like, oh yes, we are looking at butts. And it felt kind of like satirical in that way. So maybe they didn't make the parody movie that they wanted to make or that Rita wanted to make. But I think they got away with a little bit of like cheek, which I appreciate. And that's a pun because it was butts. I just dabbed. Sorry. Anyway, what's the Slumber Party Massacre about? Girls are having a slumber party. In the beginning of the movie, we're told a maniac escaped from prison and wants to murder again. And so somehow he finds all these girls in the party, and then he starts killing them all and all the friends and the pizza guy and the teacher who comes to see them, and then that's it. And he has like a little a little weapon thingy. I think there's a name to it. He's like a notorious guy, apparently in the sequels. Yeah, I don't know what it's called. Anyway, the sequel was also directed by a woman though, so we stand a feminist series. But yeah, and it's a pretty like decent, average, fun horror movie. Like the kills are okay. They're very creative. There's a lot of creativity, I think, in the kills. Although the escaped maniac seems to like Frank. I think it's called Frank. He seems to not die, and it's like, what are they giving these guys in prison that they escape and then they can't die? Surely give him something better so that he doesn't do that. If you don't want a guy to escape and become like a runaway maniac who just murders everybody, maybe don't give him like some kind of strong Superman pills or whatever. Because Michael Myers, this guy. So he just picks them off and kills them one by one, and I think these are like meant to be 18-year-old high school girls, so the fact that they seem pretty like scared and like and they're like really sporty and they're like the jock girls, and one of them is Valerie, who's the new girl at school, but she doesn't get invited to the party because she's too pretty and the boys like her too much, which is really cute. But one of the girls, Diane, she doesn't like that. Trish is the girl whose party it is, and she's like, I want to invite Val. It's like, no, she's too pretty. But then Val lives next door, and she and her sister like look at the window and like, oh, what's going on in this party? And then she comes and she saves them, and it's like, it's kind of like it's cute. It's like, I don't know, it's like this girl is really sweet and she's really nice and they help each other out, and in the end it's like it's kind of like that You're Next, Ready or Not kind of ending where you just have these girls like looking traumatized and you have police sirens in the back and it fades to black. It's only 70 minutes, which I think they had like an alternate ending shot that was longer, but it's fine. I think it works. It's in and out, bim bam boom. kill, 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 ba ba ba, done. And I appreciate that because that's what I want. I don't think any horror movie should be longer than 90 minutes. And I stand by that. Especially slasher movies. Like, I don't want to watch some dude kill a bunch of people for 2 hours. Ugh. Ugh. Anyway, so Amy Jones had a stellar career. Après the Slumber Party Massacre, she went on to be a writer. She wrote Mystic Pizza with Julia Roberts and other people. And she wrote the first Beethoven movie. And she was credited in every single Beethoven movie. So we have a trend of people making movies, horror movies in 1982, who then go on to make children's programming. And I like that. Or like really popular rom-coms. And I like that. I appreciate that. Mark Rosman and Amy Jones doing it for the people. Anyway, so the Slumber Party Massacre is like a fun film. Again, it's like, I think it's a perfect double bill with the House of Sorority Row because it's like, you know, it's got that kind of cheekiness. It's, you know, it's like girls fighting for their lives, and it's like just can't you just let them have fun, dude? Why'd you have to come in and ruin the party? And it's like, it's a fun theme. And they're reasonably well made. As I said before, I think they could be gorier, but I think at the time, films were getting steadily less gory, less like obviously violent, which is a shame, because that's what I like. But, so it's fine. I'm not gonna judge them because they're a product of their time, and that's okay. I enjoy them regardless. They were still really fun. It's not like Happy Death Day, which was made in like 2017. And they could have been really gory and violent, but they weren't. So fuck you guys. I love that movie, but it could have been so gory. Come on! Do it for me! Anyway. So they were really fun. I would really recommend this double bill. It was a fun night. You know, just get some popcorn, you know, get some drinks. Maybe once coronavirus is gone, we can have people over and do that. Sounds like a fun time. I miss having people over. Oh. Anyway, that's it, I think, for these movies. I really enjoyed watching them. This is just a more lighthearted, shorter episode. I hope you appreciate that. I know I will when I'm editing it. So let me know what you think of those movies. Do you like them? What's your favorite slasher movie? I feel like there's so many, and I haven't even scraped the surface. You know, I want to really delve into the genre. As I said before, earlier in some of my videos, I'm still learning, you know, I'm relatively new to horror because I've been stuck in my ways and just watching stuff I like, and I haven't really explored the genre as much as I should have. So let me know what I should watch. I would love to get recommendations. And I'm on Letterboxd. I'm posting everything that I'm watching on Letterboxd. The list has been changing. It hasn't been the same that I announced, but that's okay. It's mutable. It's exciting. It's diversifying. It's fantastic. So let me know down below what your favorite slasher movies are. What should I watch personally? And follow me on Letterboxd. I'll follow you back. Let's do this. Let's you know, let's do a circle of horror lovers and just have a good time. And shout out to Amy Jones. We stand you, girl. Keep doing what you're doing. We love Beethoven. Fuck yes. Great Sunday afternoon movie. And one final thing, I want to shout out to my friend Steph, who made this print. It's a little pumpkin print, and it's like hand-pressed, hand-painted with like a little press thing, and she carved the thing herself, and it's really cool, and I really love it. I'm so excited to have it on my thing, with all my little pumpkin guys. It's really cute. I'm gonna put all her stuff down below, her Etsy account and Instagram, so you can go follow her and buy all these really cool prints on Etsy. She's got some like Ruth Bader Ginsburg stuff, some Black Lives Matter stuff. It's really cool. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. As I said before, go down below, follow all the socials. I'll mostly follow people back because, you know, I'm needy. And thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
He'll tell us what he wants to be called.